if you want to close more high-ticket deals, this is something that you absolutely need to know every single time, and it's perfect if you actually want to increase your closing rate. Now, one of the biggest problems about most funnel builders is that, they start as everyone else, right? They start as freelancers, right? So the freelancing world basically comes from the will of making more money, right? And the will of actually get some freedom, right? That's the main goal. So we want more money, we want more freedom, therefore we start our freelancing career. This is like 99% of us funnel builders, right? Now, so what's the problem? The problem is that we don't come from a making money kind of environment. Most of us don't do. This is why we struggle with making money whenever you are creating, this kind of freelancing business. So this video is here to help you out with becoming better at making money, okay? It took me a long time to learn all these things and perfect this, so I'm gonna share this in a 10-minute video or even less, all right? Now, one of the biggest things that actually allows you to make more money is to have money-making skills. And money-making skills is all about sales. It's not about how good you are as a designer, as a copywriter, as a strategist, conversion optimization, automation guy, media buy, whatever it is. It's not about that. It's about this. It's about the ability of making sales. So making sales is about connecting an audience, okay, with a specific solution. And you are here in the middle. You are connecting your audience with your solution, and this is when everything combines and makes you money, okay? So this is where you need to focus on. And this is actually what gets you the money. Not really the solution per se, although, of course, you need to work on that as well. The better you become at the solution, the more money you can make. But the skill, the closing skill, comes from being the bridge. So this video is about how can you, one of the factors that is going to help you becoming very good in that bridge, okay? And it's about trust, okay? If you are not able to build trust during your sales calls, your DMs, whatever method you use, you're not going to be able to close. The main reason why is because if you are not the agent, working on building trust during the entire process, from getting to know them to getting to know their offer to then closing, then you are leaving these to them, to your leads. And what happens is when you do this, you are leaving the, one of the most important parts outside of your control, okay? And what happens is people that have a high or low tolerance to risk, they are not going to buy. They are going to feel the risk. They're not risk takers. They're not going to buy. And those who have a high tolerance to risk, if they like you, if they like your offer, etc., they're going to buy. So if you don't build, a lot of trust in your offer, in yourself, and in themselves, they're still going to buy because it doesn't matter. They have a high tolerance to risk, so they go ahead and move ahead. So the problem is that only around 5% of people actually are like that. So you are ignoring basically 95%, and this is why you have, one of the reasons why you have a lot of trouble closing deals. Okay, I also faced this. It was, I didn't understand why, and trust is one of the biggest ones. There's more, but trust is one of the biggest ones. So how do you become the bridge into, your offer, your avatar, with your solution? It's by making sure that you go through a process. That process is basically and I'm just going to talk about sales calls, but you can also do this in the end process. So one, establish expectations. If you are not the one establishing expectations, what happens is you lose control. And when you lose control, then you lose the authority. It's not authority, but it's the closest word I can find. Okay, so you lose your authority, and therefore you are leaving closing to chances. After you get expectations done, then you need to start with your qualification. And this is where most people struggle with. Okay, qualification is basically understand what your client is thinking. Okay, what your client is thinking, or your lead in this case, okay? What your lead is thinking. And this is something that you need to be very, very good at. And one of the things I teach all of my one-on-one students is to take these things one step at a time. Don't try to be good at everything right away. Try to be good at expectations, try to be good at qualification, and try to be good at the other ones I'm going to talk about in just a little bit, okay? So this needs to be one at a time, because if you don't go one at a time, it's going to be super complicated to manage that, okay? So expectations and qualification. Qualification is understanding how your client is thinking and their goals. So you need to combine these two, how they think and their goals. If you're really, really good at understanding this, then the next phase is going to be actually simple, which is finding the true meaning. The true meaning about all these things that we talked about, their goals, and the true meaning about their thinking. If you fail to do this, you're going to fail to build trust no matter what you do, no matter the scripts you follow, no matter the words you say, it doesn't matter. Okay, no matter the tonality you use, it doesn't really matter. You need to find the true meaning. So what is the true meaning? The true meaning is basically when they say, I need more leads, you actually need to understand what are they looking for. When they say, I need more sales, you need to understand, okay, what are they looking for? Because it's almost like 99% of the times, it's never as it is. It's never as like, I need more leads, or it's never as I need more sales. There's something behind it. And you need to ask questions, pay attention to the words they emphasize, pay attention to the words they choose, pay attention to how they feel they're pacing, all that stuff, to make sure that you then find the true meaning. True meaning, the way that you do this is you understand what they say, you basically direct, or basically redirect their own words with qualification questions that is going to basically tell you yes or no, or they're going to tell you the path that it actually is, or what they actually mean. Okay? Now, I understand this might be a little bit confusing, but still to the end, because this is, you kind of want to understand the full spectrum of it. Now, the next thing about expectation, qualification, true meaning is going to be the solution. This solution needs to make sense. This solution needs to tackle their concerns. This solution needs to make them understand and believe that they can do it. This solution needs to make sure it be feasible, achievable, but also that it's going to get them to their goal, so it works. Okay? So it needs to make sense. It needs to tackle their concerns. It needs to make them feel that they can do it. Okay? They can achieve it, and it needs to work. So how do you convey this? You convey this by paying close attention to all these that happen in the qualification phase and in the true meaning phase, and then afterwards you want to use the words with your short and super clear explanation of your solution. Okay, and then you want to basically tackle one at a time. This is a little bit more complex. I want to make sure that this video is around 10 minutes long, so I'm not going to tackle all, I'm going to cover all that stuff. But essentially, that's pretty much what you want to do, and what I do every single time. Now, here's the problem: when you are doing this solution, you want to make sure that you go through most of the objections that most people have. Okay, which is time, which is money, time, money, relevance. So these are the three biggest ones, and then it's you, so they trust you, your authority, and then there's two more. I'm not remembering what those are right now. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But you want to tackle those main objections. Time, money, relevance are basically the ones that are most relevant. This is why I always remember them. The other ones are just contextual. So doesn't really matter for this purpose. Now you want to make sure that you cover these objections in the way that you provide the solution, because this is going to help you in the next phase. And the next phase is actually building trust and confidence, right? So again, in you, in your product or solution, and then lastly in themselves. This is what you want to do. And when you establish these, you go through a series of attempts. It's never linear, or like 95% of the time it's never linear. People are going to have a lot of questions. So you go ahead and you go back to the solution, to the true meaning. That's what I do. When you are building trust and confidence, you ask them questions where you bounce your solution with the true meaning. Okay? This is what you want to do. And once you do this 2, 3, 4 times, and you make sure that you are in between boundaries, what happens is you start building a lot of trust. Now, there's other factors into building trust, of course. There's how good your portfolio is, your tonality, how sure you are in terms of getting them the results. All these are very important, okay? But this doesn't matter, because whether you have an amazing portfolio or no portfolio at all, whether you have amazing tonality or no tonality at all, this is basically where everyone starts. Everyone starts from here, and then they boost it from there, okay? So this was just a part of the process of how to build trust so that you can increase your closing rates. There's so much more around this. This is why a lot of people struggle for years and years and years. There's so much more around this. But I go through all this stuff in detail inside my Booked Funnel Builder Academy. It's a membership, $99 a month, where it's an entire space where you're safe to learn the entirety of the process. I'm talking about content creation, DMing, I'm talking about building trust, closing rate, making sure that you understand the strategies, making sure that you become a good conversion rate optimization guy, and all that stuff. On top of that, you also, when you join my Booked Funnel Academy, what happens is you also get free access to the Funnel House membership, which, if you don't know, it's my membership where I teach everything I know about funnels. I do funnel reviews. I review your designs. I help you become very, very good at building funnels. So if this is something that grabs your attention, you like to experiment, you want to give it a chance, click the button below, check the Booked Funnel Builder Academy, and I'll see you there.